seeing than the one that you saw back in November, but still, those back-to-back losses, is there like a sense of, all right, we got to get these guys back, or kind of like a revenge game or anything like that heading into this?
For sure. Like these guys are competitors. They remember everything. We remember everything. It's competition. Um, but that being said, ton of respect for the Hogs, right? And what they played two great games against us. Reece Sachet's back. That gives them some more length and Trey. Obviously, anytime you play a team with him, it's a headache. Guarding. DeAndre Hunter's playing great. Like this is another big challenge for us, especially coming out of a back-to-back.
Speaking of Trey, he had his career high in assists in one of those matchups, and he had 22 in 20 one of those games, and another 20, 11 the other game. Defending him tonight, like what's a good night against him?
I know we got to do better. And part of it is, kind of like Tyler Hero the first game. We just kind of let him run free. Like you can't let. It's like playing a great quarterback, right? If you just kind of let him, don't touch him, and he's got all the time in the world. He's gonna pick you apart. So we got to throw multiple bodies at him, like we did with Hero last night. We got to be more physical, more into the ball. Then we got our big guys in the back there to protect us if we do make a mistake. But definitely got to up our energy and physicality on him.
If Coach, just going off of that, is Max going to be the guy that you guys look forward to take on Trey?
Multiple bodies. I always like to challenge DG. DG does a heck of a job. I love his speed on him. So we like DG on him too. But I don't think I think you could see Jalen on him. I was thinking that can we throw multiple bodies on him? Can we throw length at him? But we also have DG who can keep up with his speed, because this is a different. He's different from Hero. He's speed and shifty, so you got to make sure you get the right guys on him.
And obviously tonight can be a little bit more emotional, obviously because of the last two games you guys played against them, but also all-star reserves come out today. When you talk about kind of managing those emotions, how important is that?
Yeah, I mean it's unique, right? It's a little tricky, right? With what's going on, and we're aware of it. Players are going to be aware of it. I know Donovan told me when he's been in that position, he's been a bundle of nerves, right? Like you're waiting for the announcement and you get the emotion, did you make it or didn't you make it? But the good thing, I think, that's what these guys, once the ball's tipped up, they're competitors. They'll focus on the task and be fine. But I get all the emotions leading up to the game.
Danny?
With the All-Star reserves, and I know you've known Jared for a long time, so this probably doesn't apply to him, but with Evan and Darius, what have you learned about those guys in your first half season as their head coach that you didn't know coming into this year?
Even more talented than I thought. Just the talent base, right? Just start there. Again, not being around him every day, and being in the West for the last 3 years, watching him, kind of sporadically, and so knew they were good, knew they were really good players. Darius I knew a little more because of, my time in Brooklyn as a head coach, so competing against him. Evan's obviously a little younger, but the talent is what screams out. I guess the second one would be the human, the character. Different personalities, but both humble and part of those type of guys are they want to be something, be part of something bigger than themselves type guys. They're just nice people to be around. So those are the two things that kind of scream out.
And then with Max, he's obviously been back for a little over a month at this point, probably been in rhythm for 3 weeks or so. But how do you think that he's changed this team for the better when he's been on the floor?
Man, it's funny how injuries kind of shift things around on the team, right? I think this is the role Max is comfortable in. I think it's like helped him find his rhythm. He wants responsibility. He wants defensive responsibility. He wants big minutes, which is what you love about him, and it's kind of worked out that way lately, and I think it's helped him find that rhythm, and kind of find his rhythm with that starting group, that he's played well with lately.
Tim.
Kenny, last night Donovan mentioned after the game that he thought Jalen was the player of the game, was the star of the game. As a rookie, how do you measure progress, whether it's metrics or eye test, especially when you only got his second start last night?
Yeah, it's great by Donovan. Because I did see, he didn't have a great game, but he's plus 15. So that's first off. So when he was on the court, we were good. And I keep saying this about Jalen, and you look back at his summer league stats. He's a guy that fills like many boxes. So 4 rebounds, 5 assists, that type of guy. And I always feel like the best role players are guys that do that. And you look at the points column last when you look at a guy like that. So it's plus minus how many rebounds, how many assists, and that's kind of how we judge him. And he did like I said last night, he did everything we asked of him. Still some nuance of the game. The fouling the shooter. He grabs too much. He raps, which is a no-no, and I was on him about that last night. So he's got some nuance to learn, but he's, again, perfect role player for this group.
In your experience as a rookie, how do you handle the coaching aspect of that rather than a veteran player?
I love the rookie and coach them hard. I tell our coach these guys like they're in college. Like, now Jalen is a guy that's been he played for Matson and Cal, and he's been through the ringer a little bit. But there's I think you have to put a little more pressure on them than you would have had in terms of like hold them accountable and you're on the details a little more. Whereas like a Darius or a Donovan, they know when they messed up. They already know. But the rookie, he doesn't know sometimes. They don't know what they don't know, right? So you got to, make them aware. I know, I went at Jalen in one of the timeouts in a forceful way, but a positive way. And my experience with those guys, they want to be coached that way. And then, with the vet, you just coach them different.
Bob, did you do much campaigning for your players for the All-Star game?
No, and I know, I got a bunch of texts and from agents and coaches, but I let the chips fall where they may. I trust my colleagues. They watch the game, they know the game. Just kind of let it fall where it shall.
Jimmy.
Hey, Kenny. Trey's one of the best little guy free throw attempts players ever. How much of what he does to get those is skill versus, I don't know, trickery, maybe?
Depends what you mean by trickery.
Well, he games the rules sometimes.
Sure. I think a lot of a lot of players do that. A lot of the smart players in this league, James Harden does it. Trey does it. And it's just part of the game. And they figure out the rules. They figure out the nuances of the rules, and they take advantage of it. And it's hard. JB's like that. Jalen's like that. Jalen Brunson a little bit. So you could. I don't know how you look at it as a fan or as a media person or as a coach, but these guys have figured out how to. It helps them be more efficient. It helps them win games, and the opinion is up to, your personal opinion on what you think of that.
How much, if at all, could Darius and Donovan learn from watching some of these foul clips?
It's weird. It's a really, we could do like a book on it, like a column on it. Like it's just they're just some guys. It's just not how they operate. I think KD was like that. Like no flopping. Like he just wants to score. Like he doesn't think about drawing fouls. And I think Darius and Donovan are in that bucket a little bit. Though Donovan had like a head fake the other and just jumped into the guy. I don't know if you call that trickery. But Steph was not a trickery guy at all. He didn't really look to play that way. It just depends on the player.
Kenny, obviously you'd like to have Karras and Isaac and Dean, and
your full complement, but when you went early in the season deep into your bench the way you did, do you feel like that is insulated you a little bit and allowed you to manage not having some pieces and parts as you go through this season?
Yes, I do think the overall philosophy helps with this situation, and it helps that the players understand that. Like, day one, I came in the room. This is a little bit of change. We're playing 10, could play 11. That's a change. That's what. And then explain to them the why. Why we're going to do that. We want to stay healthy. We want to develop our bench. We want to play our young guys because eventually they'll help us in the playoffs, et cetera, et cetera. So I think you got to get the players, make them understand the why, and they bought into that, right? And again, I said it started with our superstars, right? Like Donovan, you're playing less. Your stints are going to be shorter. Last night at the same, I think Jalen ends up playing 27. I think he, CP 19, 20, and and part of that was, yes, I want them to play, but it's also like I want to take care of our best players for the long haul. You just gotta my personal philosophy. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I think it helps develop a program and a long-term sustainable winning program.
When you talk about buy-in, you emphasize defense, and then these last two games, the defense really seemed to return. We've seen this in other areas too, where you emphasize something and then there's an immediate response in a positive way. Just as a coach, how gratifying is it to, when you're emphasizing something, you see the players responding to your message on the floor?
I've never experienced that in the NBA, how quickly these guys react to a wake-up call. Whatever it is. That's why we as a staff, we feel tremendous responsibility to be emphasizing the right things, right, that they're going to help us in the long term. But this team, some teams it just takes a while. It just takes, you got to hammer it and hammer for weeks sometimes before you see carryover. This team, it's like, it's automatic. It can be shoot around emphasis, and then they just flip a switch, it's really one of the strengths of this team.
Jeff, and Kenny, you mentioned a couple of times back to back, and now this is 3 games in 4 nights. What is the biggest challenge for you, later here in the season, and then for the players to stay mentally and physically sharp?
Sleep is the biggest challenge. So we got in at, I know I got to my house at 3:08 in the morning. And then, you're revved up, you drive home. I took it a 25-minute drive, and all you guys experience, so it's good you can relate to this. You drive home 25 minutes, so you got to be stimulated, right? You slept a little on the plane, which tricks your body. And then you get in your bed, and it's like, why can't I fall asleep? I'm exhausted. And then it's 4:30, it's 5, and so to me, and the players go through the same thing. So I think we're battling this kind of sleep strategy. We're up in shoot around just right now, and I saw 4 guys yawn, and I don't know. It's like, so, and we help them with that. We have sleep education with them, and we talk about it. We talk about how important recovery is, all that stuff. It's a bigger part of this than I'd say the general public would think. They say, oh, here come the Cavs, they're coming in tonight, beat Atlanta. It's like they haven't gone through what we've gone through and what the players have gone through. So, but sleep is the #1 challenge for us when we're in these tough stretches with all the travel.